The first primaries of the 2020 presidential election are more than a year away, but some Democratic hopefuls are already reaching out to black voters. The New York Times says prospective candidates are reaching out to black political organizations to test their messages. One of them is Color of Change, a progressive advocacy group. Let's bring in Rashad Robinson. He is the president of Color of Change. Welcome to you, Rashad. Thanks so much for being here. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
So you're off to a busy start. Had some meetings, have you?
I mean, we've been having meetings for the last couple of years. I mean, ever since Donald Trump was elected. And even before that, folks were really trying to stake out what their positions were, what their vision were, doing the deep listening that was necessary. And I think that's important.
So let's talk about brass tacks. Who's been reaching out to you so far, and what's the message been?
Well, a number of folks. And what's been most important, whether it's been, Senator Warren or Harris or former HUD Secretary Castro or many others that have been reaching out. The litmus test for us has been who's been reaching out for years, who's been in conversation with us for years about these issues, not just in a presidential election cycle, but who's been thinking about what really matters to black voters. How do I connect my vision, my message for a future with what the community is interested in?
And what are those issues? What are those things that matter most?
What's interesting for us at Color of Change, we are an organization of 1.4 million black folks and their allies of every race. We run campaigns every single day. So sometimes we're testing messages through email and through social media and getting back real interesting stuff that sometimes we didn't know what might test well, and then we're learning along the way. And so what we're also trying to do is share that information with folks who are running, but have a real conversation, not just about how inequality and injustice is unfortunate, but how it is unjust. Pushing the candidates to not have a message, let's say, about sending water bottles to Flint, but how do we fix the pipes in Flint? Not having a message about reentry, but having a message about how do we actually end mass incarceration in the first place? Not having a conversation about how do we clean up inner city schools, but how do we change public education so it's equal and fair and allows for all of our young people to rise. That's how we're trying to speak to these candidates and try to push them to really speak to the rules.
Those are really deep systemic problems, as you well know. We know that Hillary Clinton fell short when it came to a black voter turnout that she needed in 2016. According to the Pew Research Center, turnout dropped by 7% in 2016 compared to 2012. So how are candidates likely to avoid that again?
Well, I think it's going to be a long primary season. I think that's also what's exciting. Back in 2008, there was a long primary season where candidates really got to dig into their message, really got to speak to the community in a wide range, and then got to hone that message after hearing back from the community. And we hope that that will be part of that. I think as many candidates as possible should run. I think we need as many voices out there really vying for the community. Any candidate who runs, though, in the primary or runs in the general and does not have a message for black voters is doing it at their own peril. This past midterm election was a clear example of how racial justice can win all around the country. And even in places, I was here to talk about the races in Georgia and Florida before the election. But even where in Georgia, where Stacey Abrams' historic campaign came up short, Stacey Abrams got more black voters than the Democrat who ran in 4 years before, who happened to be Jimmy Carter's grandson, who ran for governor. She got more black voters, and he got total voters. The idea that black voters and black community can be the solution to beating back not just Donald Trump, but driving our country to a more progressive and fair future for everyone. Any president, any presidential candidate, anyone who's hopeful at occupying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue should be reaching out to the community and listening.
We only have about a minute left, but how difficult is it, or perhaps not difficult in your view, to try and navigate having a message to both African-American voters while not alienating other constituencies as well?
Well, you saw candidates winning all around the country that had a clear message this past election cycle. Some in districts, black candidates winning in districts that had 6% or 10%. I think that the country is ready for candidates who are clear about their conviction, are not message testing and poll testing, saying one thing a community over here and another thing to a community over there, but actually talking about how we all rise together. That's what black communities want. Black communities want to be able to send their kids to good schools. They want to be able to have a job that pays them fairly. They want to be safe in their communities, and they want a justice system that is fair And that is something that all of us want. Black voters turn out. Black voters have made elections, have been the deciding factor in elections. And in this primary season will be no different.
All right, Rashad Robinson. Rashad, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.